Hello, Brother Monroe here. Welcome back to Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. Something slightly different today. I'm going to do a little video on how you modify the game. How can you either make your own mod from scratch, or how can you take an existing mod like my own Dreadnought Improvement Project mod and change it to suit your own wants and desires. So the first thing you're going to need is you're going to need a copy of the game, obviously, and you're also going to need a program to extract files out of the resources.assets file. That is the only file that currently you're able to access as a modder. So I'm just going to head over to my desktop and show you where to get that and where to get the program to open it. Okay, so this is where you will find the resources.assets file. This would be familiar to anybody who's installed a mod. So it's C, program files, x86, Steam, Steam apps, common, Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts data, and it is this file here. I highly recommend that you copy this file, put it somewhere else, so that you can modify it without breaking your game in the process, so that you have, a version that works and a version that you are editing. As well, it is important to note that this file will reset to the vanilla version every single time the game updates, even if it's just an opt update, and you will have to recompile your mod and get it ready again from whatever the new resources file is every single time. So it is a bit of a pain. Every time there's an update, you're going to have to spend 10, 15, 20 minutes, depending on how complicated your mod is, getting it ready for the new version. So just a word of warning about that before we get into it. However, to open this file, you need this, or a program like it. There are others, but this is the one I use. This is the Serious Cache UABE, Unity Asset Unbundler, or whatever it's called. You can get it off GitHub, and I've got this one, the 64-bit version. Just download this and run it, and you will see something that looks like this. This is the Asset Bundle Extractor. So we're going to open a resources file, and I'm going to open the most recent version of my mod, which I have saved somewhere else. So if you open that, and then click on this, you will find a list of all the files that are in this resources .assets kind of container. Now, most of these are not very useful because they can't be accessed, or if they can, they can't be re-imported. Most of this file is not useful. So if you go by type, what you're looking for, and it's usually between textures and sprites, are the text asset files. So text asset files are what you are after. This is what you are wanting to have a look at. These are the files you can open and you can modify. And how do you do that? Well, you pick one. Let's say params. This is the biggest text file with the most stuff in it. Go to plugins, export to text, and then save it somewhere sensible. And you can see here I've already extracted a whole bunch of them. Save that somewhere sensible, and then you can open it. And I'll show you what to do when you do that in just a second. All right, so here are the files that I have changed in my own mod in the current version, at least the time of recording of this. And to open these files, you can just open them in regular Notepad, but I strongly recommend getting something like Notepad++. Very, very useful. And I also recommend, if you've got Notepad++, getting the compare plugin, so that when you get a new version of the game and a new version of the files, you can very quickly see what the developers have changed and then either import it into your own mod or not. It also lets you compare what a modder may have changed compared to the vanilla version. So if you download my mod and you extract a file and you're like, what did Brother Monroe change? Okay, compare with the vanilla version, you can have a look at it. It's very easy to kind of reverse engineer mods if you're wanting to using that tool. So it's very, very useful. Get Notepad++. Anyway, if you open up params, it will open up this rather large text file, which at the top mostly has the release notes. But if you scroll down, you start to get into actual parameters and things you can change. And there's a lot in here. I'm not going to go through what everything does, because I don't know what everything does. There's a lot of stuff in here. And it's not immediately obvious what everything does, and it's not immediately obvious if it works. Don't know how else to put it. So params is a very, very big file, but I did want to show an example of what you can of one of the other files that are not as easy to read. So if you open the technologies file, this is quite a difficult file to read. I personally don't mind reading a Notepad++, but I know for some people this is basically impossible. You can open these as CSV, comma-separated value files in Excel or Google Sheets, or insert your whatever software you like to use here. And it's a little bit easier to see what's going on. But if we look at, not projectiles, hulls. One of the common things that I get asked about is, hey, could you do a version of your mod where things don't become obsolete? And I could, it's just that maintaining multiple versions of a mod is adding an awful lot of extra work for very little gain, from my point of view. But this is the Hull Cruiser Unlocks, and somewhere there should be gun layout, hull construction, hull construction and hull strength. This is the one we want. This is the battleship hulls. And if we take, say, this one, you can see here it says unlock, and then you have a list of the hulls that are unlocked. And then here, this is a list of all the hulls that this tech makes obsolete, and it's a big list. Okay, if you wanted to make certain hulls available till the end of the game, all you need to do is delete their particular entry, or you could just go through and delete all of the obsolete references, and then you would have every hull you wanted available right to the end of the game. Very simple. And then all you need to do is to save your adjusted technologies file. And we're going to assume that you've done that. And once you have, if you go back to the asset bundle extractor and you look for the file that you've edited, so in this case, let's say we've had a look at technologies. So you've got to find it in the list. There it is. And then you go import from text. I want the technologies file, please. And you get a little asterisk here showing that you've modified it. Make sure you import the text file to the correct part of the resources.assets file. If you do that wrong, it will not load. And then at the end, you go to File. Once you've done all the files you want to do, apply, save all, and save the file somewhere else, a different folder from where your resources file that you are editing is saved, because otherwise it will try and overwrite it. And then you just need to call it resources.assets, save it, which I'm not going to do because I'll break my own mod. But just save it, and then copy and paste it back into the Dreadnoughts data folder that I showed earlier. Paste it in, launch the game, and hopefully everything goes right. A top tip, if you are making a mod, in the params file, if you write something up here, it will show up when you press news in game, and you can check that your mod is installed correctly. And obviously, if you've written version numbers and things like that, you can check that the version number is correct as well. Very, very helpful. And that's pretty much it. That's all you need to do. The big thing about modding with Dreadnoughts is you just have to it can be hard work staying on top of all the releases. Make sure that you keep things organized with where you save them. For instance, here in the Dreadnought Improvement Project folder, I have all my previous versions in here. I have reference versions. I have the vanilla resources files going back to 1.4.0.8, just so I can go back and refer to them. I've got a couple of the NAR versions because I use that. I've got the old balance mod file as well, which I can still open and look at, even though it doesn't run. Try and keep everything organized so that when you're updating things, it all goes smoothly. When there is a game update, it is nearly always a change to this file. If there are any changes to the text file, you can usually get away with just updating params, and away you go. The more text files you change, the longer and more kind of man-hour intensive it is going to be keeping your mod updated, and that you are introducing more areas where there could potentially be problems with your mod. But short and sharp explanation of how you actually get in and modify the game. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments, and happy modding. I'll see you again soon for some more Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. Bye for now.